Hey, what's up? One of the most difficult industries to generate leads for is software development company. And through this video, I'll walk you through the common obstacles as well as how to solve most of them. For all those in the lead generation process, if you guys struggle to find leads for one of your clients who is perhaps a software development company, this video might be very helpful. My name is Amin. I've been in the sales sector for more than a decade, dealing in all three segments, B2C, B2B, as well as in the B2G sector, where I worked with some of the biggest government institutions in the North African market. And currently, we're expanding to new territory using the same basic technique, but in a much more effective way, thanks to AI. The recent company I've been affiliated with is the Raya Incorporated, which is a software development company that has managed to close deals and get partners from different regions in the world. And this, despite the crazy competition in this space. I mean, everyone knows how brutal is the IT sector in the current period of time. And I will lay down in this video some of the processes we have used to accomplish such success. So usually you are going to see me using two sets of tools. First, we have the enrichment data platform or intelligence platform like ZoomInfo, we have PitchBook, Ocean.io, Crunchbase, and the most well-known one currently, Clay.com. And these are basically tools we use to bring specific information about an audience we want to reach out to or companies we want to target. This information that these tools provide can be as basic as what is the number of employees, when was the company funded, who are the decision maker in the company, up to very sophisticated data like what software does the company use, who are their partners, who did they engage with recently, what from the funds have they been part of, last event they have contributed to. I mean, it can get quite details. And having this important information is like a gold mine, literally, because having such accurate information can help us in building a context for our reach. So on top of what we know about the company, we can go even a step further into personalizing something specifically for them. In our company, we usually are always updated with what is happening in the startup world. Recent acquisition that has been happening, fund rounds, gathering, hackathon, etc. The tools are very effective, but the only drawback is that they can get quite pricey. The go-to platform are very well known, whether through us or whether through our competitors. Most of them in general use the same tools. I find ZoomInfo as good, Apollo, but there are other tools that are much more advanced. Like PitchBook, for instance, it's less known than Apollo because a lot of people, they just use Apollo as a go-to for scraping data. But PitchBook is also very niched and it has an extensive database, much more accurate in my opinion than Apollo. But guys, it costs around $50,000 a year. Clay, on the other hand, is less pricey since you control what your consumption is, but you will find yourself perhaps spending a lot of money, credits, on data that you may not get much worth of it. I mean, not going to lie, Clay is quite effective, but at the same time, each process in it seems to be taking money out of your pocket. So in this video, we are going to use Clay a lot because it's the most effective one of them. But at the same time, we're going to do some steps before it in order to get as much processes for free as possible. So we don't have to use directly the paid tool. We can be as effective while making it for free. And by the way, these data enrichment platforms used to be the de facto process that differentiate big companies from the small agencies that used to be completely outcasted from this lead generation model. But now, thanks to Clay, Make.com, N8N, and other automation tools that came to the scene, the game has completely changed it, guys. It has completely changed it for the better. So even small agencies can now be as effective in data enrichment and drive amazing value out of it. So even if you are on your own watching this video and mastering these tools, can make you money. Okay, the second set of tools we are going to use are for the outreach process, and they are pretty straightforward. So after we have enriched our data through the intelligence platform, we just use these tools to convey the message to our audience. So we're going to use three vectors. This is very effective, guys. The cold email, and then the cold calls, and the reach on LinkedIn. For the cold email, we are going to use Smart Lead or Instantly. The cold call, we're going to use Ring Central or AirCall. And for the cold outreach on LinkedIn, we're going to use HeyReach or Dripify. And all of these can somehow be related to Clay AI and automated via that tool. And again, to be concise, I assume everyone watching this video has already some understanding about what lead generation is and the struggle this industry has. I mean, for instance, cold email, if not done well, it will be just not worth it. You will not get value from it. And I'm emphasize on me saying if not done right, because on the contrary, if you master it, it's one of the strongest models you can find and you can use to drive client. Regardless of what is your industry. I'm here talking about one of the most difficult one, but if your industry is pretty straightforward, cold emails can help you a lot. Because usually people are tied to their emails for a long period of time. So imagine this, you can try and retry and even retry the third time for as much as you want or as much as you can if you are clever about it. So there is a follow-up, how to complete that follow-up, how to change the strategy and revamp all of it if you haven't succeeded from the first or second time. We're going to explore this in a much more detail. But now, after let's say we have finished with the cold email, we can process with the LinkedIn outreach, which is on its own a very excellent method. So imagine coupling it. Then there is the third, cold calling. So all of these three vectors are going to be used to basically convey our company services through most important factors. We literally place ourselves at the right moment from different angles, replicating exactly what the companies with big and unlimited funds are doing. In the sense where we want to reach maximum of ideal customer profile at a critical period of time. And once the reach is established, we want to be as memorable as possible. So let's begin. Okay, there are many approaches or quote-unquote philosophies when it comes to predicting that a certain company or a certain individual has a need in our service. So for instance, how can we know that someone in Saudi Arabia has or is trying to build an app? Or if this company in California, they need a team to develop their platform. Perhaps a team in Japan need an extra developers for a particular solution. We do have guys, some clients from Australia, from Qatar, from Saudi Arabia, from Eastern Europe. I've never been in Eastern Europe. And without even putting a foot in these places, we have been able to get good partnership clients that themselves, after experiencing our excellent service, they provide us with other clients from their network. We put incentives in this, but you can see that it's a very efficient kind of work. Once we get them, we do as much incentive as possible and as much new technique or procedures to make those new clients partner of us. They bring us other clients. So let's get back to the most important question before we begin the enrichment, before we begin the reach, before we use any paid or free tool. The most important question is, what are the sources that our audience is in? So if the internet with all of its different social media platforms, websites, apps, if the internet was like a big mall and we enter this mall looking for someone who we know is interested in buying shoes, will it be logical to go search in the pharmacy store? Obviously no. So the same thing here, we want to specifically bring the information of a certain audience that is somewhere in the big mall of the internet, but we know that this audience needs software development. Why would we go LinkedIn? Why Facebook? Why this and that? In other words, if our audience is a restaurant owners, we might go look for them on Instagram, because usually this is the platform restaurant use to advertise for their meals. You will hardly find any of them restaurant owners on LinkedIn. Meanwhile, an ERP software of, say, medtech solution, will it be possible to find them on Instagram, on Snapchat? So to continue with the mall example, which boutique should we go to in order to find those who are interested in software services? For our company, we use 4 different sources. First one is job posting on LinkedIn or any job platform like Indeed and so on. This is an obvious one since it's a pretty straightforward indicator. Companies signaling to the whole world that they have a need in our service. One is we go look to angel investor website, VCs, accelerators, where they regularly showcase new batches and funding rounds for companies. Y Combinator, for instance, is a great example. If you go to the website, they always have a list of recent companies that got elected for a fund. So we scrape them and how to scrape, what to do with the information that we have scraped. All of these, we are going to explore them in the next video. In this video, we are going to begin with the first one, which is LinkedIn. Okay, a third source is hackathon, pitch days, demo days, conference, and any similar gathering that are quite good indicator of early stage companies that might need help in pushing their product further. They need development, they need maybe consultancy. Now the question becomes, how do we detect these events? Where are they exactly? And how can we extract valuable insights about the attendees or participating in these events? And other question, some events may be happening in the future. It makes our work quite easy. We can go to the event, we can contact them before. But what if the event was previously done a month ago or a week ago? How can we get value? Because we can get quite good value from that. Okay, a fourth type of a great signal is our competitor followers. This one is extremely powerful. I have to get at least 2 or 3 videos in order to lay down how this one can be fully covered. If a competitor suddenly gains a spike in a website visit or in his social media platform, that's a strong signal there that these new follower might have a need in his service. Obviously, he's a competitor, so his service and ours are the same. There might be that our competitor has had attended maybe an event, he run a high-performing ad, maybe launched a new feature, or done something that has attracted attention. Guys, I don't want to get into the ethics of it. I'm seeing this purely from a business perspective. The question is, how can we ride on this particular events, this wave? How can we leverage this in order to gain from it? All right, now that we have covered the main sources where software projects usually come from, let's move into the actual process we are going to follow in order to enrich and then contact the audience. And for the first step, we're going to keep things extremely simple. We're going to start with Google Sheet. And yes, you heard me right. It's going to start with Google Sheet. Because guys, a lot of people think of Google Sheet as just a place to store numbers or track basic data. But honestly, with the current state of AI, things that can be done through Google Sheet, it's becoming one of the most underrated automation tool out there. There are things people are paying serious money of, things that can literally done inside a basic spreadsheet with the right formulas and script. So before touching Clay, before touching any paid tools, we're going to build a foundation that costs nothing. And the reason we start is very simple with Google Sheet. The cleaner and more organized our data is before enrichment, the less money we burn later, because Clay and processes it has, if you even put some mistakes, not doing a formula, not following such and such. I remember first time I've used Clay, most of the credit went into enriching the whole list that was 2,000 or 3,000, I think, without controlling the formula. So it's pretty, let's say, risky to use it at the beginning. You'll see a lot of videos on YouTube jumping straight into clay.com, running enrichment immediately. And that's great if someone has a big budget. But if you are running on a small agency or you are your own one-man operation, where you simply want to be smart with your spending, you don't start with Clay. You start with a structure, and that structure begins in Google Sheet. What we want to do is to bring everything we can extract for free from LinkedIn job posts, titles of companies, location, job description, tech stack, whatever we can extract for free, whatever that is publicly visible. Because remember, these job posts are gold. Someone posting we are hiring React developers is basically telling you, hey, we need development help right now. So it's better to use this in your own advantage. Now, yes, Clay can pull this data. It can scrap, enrich, clean. It can do basically everything. But we can spend less credit. So let's go to Google Sheet. Or let's first begin with what we are exactly going to do. So here is LinkedIn. We want to research about jobs offered. Usually what we do is, let's say, Java job. So it posts all of them here. And what we are trying to accomplish here is to get information about each post from these ones and then enrich the information of companies and owners of these jobs and then contact them. So the most important thing for us is this. The link to the website. So what we do exactly is, this is the sheet. We're trying to make it as simple, as straightforward as possible. So we want the first column here to have as much software development job as we can get. And these here are going to be the countries, cities, or territory we want to research in. So let's do some makeup just in order to get, I like to see colors just to get my head a little bit. So these are job names. These are countries. Let's go for the USA, big one obviously. Canada, Germany, and Saudi. Okay, now we want to tell the GPT or any AI for that matter. Sometimes I use Grok, sometimes I use Copilot, and it's always good to do a mix between all of them. We want to put job names here, stacks, Java, Laravel, whatever. So we want the script, Google Sheet, to go take these names from here and based on the countries, research each stack in its available country or in its given country. So Java in USA, Laravel, job post in USA, and so on and so forth. And then redo the same thing for Canada, redo the same thing for Germany, etc. And we want also to just make it easy for us, a menu here, creating a menu here, where what we do in the menu will be linking this to a certain period of time. So from the menu, we can have, let's say, 3 different times. A month period, can do also, let's say, a week and 24 hours. Okay, let's try. I want you to write me a script on Google Sheet that takes from column A all of the name of job for software development. So I put in column A stacks, let's say Java, let's say Laravel, all of these sort of technologies. Now, on the first line of the sheet, the cells starting from column B are only about countries. The process should be like this. You take all of the names from column A starting from line 2 and you go on LinkedIn to create for me the link that I can later scrape. And by the way, if I can give you a tip, I'm not anymore using the keyboard since there are a lot of good tools that you can use in order to switch from the keyboard and just use your vocal. That will be translated into text. And as you may see, it's very effective. So let's just check this prompt. Add a menu on sheet from which I can select what the period of time I want this job to be in. And as you can see, below is a complete Google Apps script. So it directly, we may find some mistakes, but it directly goes straight to the point. Okay, this is what we want exactly. Correct. And it asks for a period of 24 weeks a month. Let's go. We copy it. And then we go here. Extension. We just select all and save. Okay, this on. This will, okay, some permission, some stuff, okay. Usually very safe. Go to untitled. Yes, come on. Okay, now it's here. Generate LinkedIn post. Okay, 24 hours. Let's come back and replenish this one. Give me top 50 stacks, or no tralala, no blah blah, no explanation, just a plain bulk list. Pretty good. Okay, let's see how this. Generate LinkedIn. So let's choose week. Great. Now, what you see, guys, here is just most recent LinkedIn job. Okay, I'm going to use this on my. Okay, so let's go, for instance, copy this one. And we put it here. C++ developer. You can see here, C++ developer in the United States. So basically, this one will be in Canada, this one in Germany, Saudi Arabia, and so on and so forth. The more you put countries, the more you get. Now, we have a perfect, very big list, and it depends, because sometimes, guys, for us in our company, we use all of these lines, and we create something specifically for cities. So it can get quite messy here. So Let's jump and add the flattener. I want another script that flatten all of those generated links in just one column. So I copy the column in just one go. Add them into one single column. Okay, yeah, it seems to be understanding pretty well the task. Add it to my menu on sheet. So we copy, we go as usual, we add it either here or just at the end. So basically what it's going to do is to bring all of these here, just in one go, and I copy paste them. And then what I'm going to do with the copy paste is directly we go to Apify. So Apify, just to be short, is the go-to platform for anything related to scraper. So whatever the information you want to get from the internet, you go obliged to Apify. So the Apify console, we go to the Apify store, and then here we tap LinkedIn job. And now we're going to spend a little bit of time reading each one and comparing between them, because we are going to compare the price and, second of all, most important, the deprecated software or the deprecated scraper, because some might be good at certain period of time, but then just suddenly just get out of circulation. So you may be paying for something that is already not working. So this is what's happening with the Apollo recently. It's just not possible to do this or use scraper for Apollo. Meanwhile, they used to be very mainstream Apollo scraper. So make sure to be updated with what is happening. And select few of them. Then only then come up with a solution. So no, big no. $0.07 plus 1,000. They are giving it 2.7. No. So I'll definitely check this. It will be $1 per 1,000 result. And this one will be entering the link we generated here, one by one here, or as a bulk. This is why actually I added the flattener in order to copy all of this column here. So let's just see the information that we're going to get and have from this scraper. So okay, ID, link, title. This one is good. Company LinkedIn URL, the company that is posting the job. This one is most important information we are going to get from the scraper. There is another very good thing here, job poster name. So for instance, the company has already posted the job. Sometimes they do it anonymously, and sometimes one of the HR company or someone who is basically manage these jobs, or we are going to have his information through this scraper, which is quite good. Let's go to the script. Here they are. So copy. Then we go to this one. Perfect. Okay, these to be removed. I think they are going to be removed automatically once we launch. Number of job needed. So basically, because we are in a free tier in Dripify, I don't think it will give us more than. So it will be $1 per 1,000 result. And because it's a free plan, this is just for the video here, I created a new Apify account. So maximum would be 5,000 because they give $5 for free. Run option. So we'll latest, okay, timeout. We usually don't need this unless it's a very big, 5,000 is not enough, unless it's a very, very big list. So, okay, let's go. Okay, now the actor is running. We are going to wait a little bit, and it will be an Excel file or CSV file that we later on add some customization on it on sheet, but preferably we'll take it directly to Clay AI. Okay, let's prepare clay.com. It's one of the most fantastic tools of our days. It's similar to how iPhone has completely shifted and changed the game of smartphone. So the number one most important thing in Clay AI is the ability to connect in any sort of software or platform that has an API. As long as it has an API, you can connect to it. And this open all of the doors. I mean, you cannot imagine even those who are already expert in Clay each time they discover a new thing. This not to talk about the Clay agent they use, which is a very sophisticated form of AI that is specifically designed to research information and build upon the information it finds on the internet. So yeah, just for the sake of this video, we're going to abort the scraper. Okay, we're going to export. Usually CSV is better. Let's go. drag a file here. So I always like to begin first by organizing everything in here, because with all of the data, it can get quickly messy. We have salaries, we have company address, company postal code, company description. Usually don't need this. So it's a very quick process that we can do here, because I prefer to, once in Clay, to have only the most important information I want to use. Obviously, we can do this in Clay, but I prefer just to go there once my list is fully finished. So I might get rid of some things that we don't going to use here, like IDs and stuff. And also researching the company LinkedIn profile. The only problem we're going to find is that some company here are going to be duplicated. So let's go again. I want script that color the duplicated cells in the column L. Make sure to not color the first one, original duplicated cell. So for instance, if 1, then 2 and 3 are all duplicated, color only 2 and 3. Save and run. Boom, voila. Now we want to get rid of those duplicated ones, because we don't want once in Clay to lose credit for nothing. But at the same time, we don't want to make the mistake of contacting different people from the same company with maybe different outreach or different messages. We import CSV, continue, new blank table. Okay, great. Now that we have received this data here, we want to go and begin some enrichment. We go to add column, then add enrichment. We can do a lot of stuff, but here we are going to focus on a certain scenario that works for us. So we go to add enrichment and we choose Clayagent. This may be the most advanced AI for companies, kind of a GPT for the niche of enterprises, which makes it terrific. So now, just to keep things under a certain threshold in terms of money and spending, we're going to configure and we are going to change the model. We're not going to use the Argon. Yes, it's very advanced, but currently the task we're trying to get can be done at a much lower price. So it's a very complex and good one, but not for this task. So we go to GPT 4.0. And for this one, we are connecting it. Maybe I'll do a video later about this, but we're connecting our OpenAI API to Clay. And for the prompt, since it's a long one, I'll cut short and copy paste the one that we usually work, and I'll go through each. You are an expert web researcher and data extractor. Given a company, identify the current chief executive officer, CEO, and find their correct personal LinkedIn profile URL. Objective: find the CEO's full name and their LinkedIn profile URL for company name. So using this one, by the way, if we want to select certain variable or certain, we go / and we select from one of these. Now we lay down more instruction in order to perfect as much as possible the result. The problem, for instance, with company name and company website. So we give more arguments in order to perfect the result of the AI. Prefer company websites and company LinkedIn URL if available, because it's always much more accurate to go for the company website instead of going for the company name only. A company name can be duplicated in many countries, but the website, it stays only with one. Similar thing with LinkedIn. Now we add another one. If unavailable, use a web search for company name CEO, Chief Executive Officer, and cite LinkedIn either. If unavailable, search for this. Determine the CEO. From the company website, check about leadership, team pages for the CEO title. And also from the LinkedIn page, check the About section, because usually this is where most of the information are. Or People tab highlights for leadership mention without logging in or using a paywalled content. And for much more accuracy, we give this instruction right here. Cross-check at least 2 independent sources. Example, company site, plus reputable news press release, etc. When possible, to confirm the current CEO. It will be another variation. Find the CEO's LinkedIn profile. You go do research on Google with this particular phrase, and then we add to it the company name plus CEO and variation with the identified CEO name. Validate that URL matches the personal profile. So I'll scroll slowly. So just make sure, guys, you take a screenshot of this and basically also hear it via GPT and replicate the same prompt. I'll walk you in a minute what it does exactly. We're going to explore one by one. This is a way of concentrating more effort into finding the CEO name in any related page in LinkedIn. And for this prompt, we do it usually for creating a way out for the AI from all of the contradiction or problem it may find. So sometimes a company has more than one CEO, or the company name is very common. In that case, the AI needs to be careful to pick up the correct person. The rule is to first choose the main CEO listed on the company website. And if the website shows two CEOs equally, the AI looks for the most recent or active one. For example, by checking recent news article or LinkedIn activity. Another problem is that some company names are very generic, like global tech or MicroStrategy. And many people may have similar titles. So to avoid picking the wrong person, the AI will use the company's website domain or other identifier in research. Now let's come to the final step of the prompt. So this is about how the AI should give the final result and what rules to follow. So the AI writes the CEO's name and their LinkedIn profile in a very simple and structured format that we call it JSON format. I'll invite everyone to just go take a look at what the JSON format. So this makes the information neat, easy to read, and ready to use in spreadsheets or any other program. For here, we are telling the AI, if you cannot find the CEO or LinkedIn profile, we are blocking the AI from just guessing or returning invalid information. We're giving him what we call a way out. So clearly write not found. Okay, now once finished, make sure you come here to this and select the field to be in the text mode. There are many options here, but for now, we're going to use the text. Then we go down. One of the most important things, especially for the beginners out there, before the launch, always, no matter how much you're sure of the prompt, always come here and click save and run for 10 rows. In a more advanced way, you should be putting something here, a formula that forbids certain rows from running if they have a specific problem. Let's say rows without a company or rows who doesn't have specific argument we have used. Let's say give quick example, rows that doesn't have a company profile, company website, and at the same time, they don't have company LinkedIn. Because remember, in the previous prompt, we have done, if you don't find the website, go do the research on LinkedIn. But what if the list is very long, meaning thousands and thousands of lines, but at the same time, some of the rows doesn't have correct information on them. They lack both the website and the LinkedIn link. So what we do here is we create a formula that forbids the AI from even considering those rows, which means less credit span. So for here, obviously, the whole list is well documented. You can see here all the LinkedIn are here. I created it before even beginning this tutorial. Now, this is the result. It gives an answer that we should go take a look into. And now we can see that it has brought the CEO name. We first go check here in the confidence level. This is a very high. You can see the reasoning behind this prompt, how it has managed to bring the CEO name. So multiple independent, blah, blah, blah. Sources including Unisys official website. So it was from the official website and from the LinkedIn. So a combination of both, which makes the confidence very high. Okay, now what we need from this, just in this case, only this one. We need this one, add as a colon, and we give it a name, CEO name, create a colon. We also need this one, CEO LinkedIn URL, and boom, we create. Now that I have enriched all of the list, we have all of these CEO LinkedIn profile. I usually go and add another enrichment. So we can do this in two ways. Either we use the clay agent for what I'm going to do in this step right now, or use it in a very cheaper way. So I'll explain the first, and then obviously we're going the cheaper way. We do already have the context that these CEOs, one of their team, or maybe them themselves, if the company is a small one, have posted a job. So we already have the context, and it's a great way to begin the conversation with them. But at the same time, it will be much better if we add something personalized. So now, since we have their LinkedIn, we can add another step. which makes it more human-like. So we go scrape or research the recent LinkedIn job post and try to build a context based on this post and on the recent job they are looking for. This is much more meaningful, and you will see this later. Now, the problem we can encounter here is that some CEOs, some of them may not use LinkedIn for quite a long time. So if the post is more than 3 months, it doesn't mean anything. This way, we add another type of personalization. So it can be case studies they mentioned on their website or previous client, maybe a well-known brand they have worked with. These are enrichment, information that may help us to build upon. And as I said, we can go and add something from Clay, or we can connect our own API. So same thing, we go to add enrichment, and now we choose Amplify Actor. Of course, your Amplify on the platform, you should connect it to Clay through API, which is a very basic thing to do, so I don't want to waste your time, neither mine. You will have to bring the Amplify Actor number here, and the input data will be like this. So here will be the name of the Amplify Actor, and here will be the defragmentation of the JSON that the Amplify Actor provides. So it's something very easy. The Amplify Actor will scrape all of the LinkedIn here. So here's the scraper in question. What it basically does is we feed him the LinkedIn profile URL and it brings the post content. So if we go to the output, the scraper is going to bring this. From any LinkedIn URL we pass up onto it, it will bring the name, the last name, and what we are most interested about is the recent post. We can obviously filter how many recent or previous posts we want. We can go as much as, let's say, all of the posts from last year or narrow it down. So going back to our script, we are limiting the research to 2 most recent posts. Let's run Amplify Actor. So now let's go see the result. If we click here, it has brought 2 results. So the first one, here's the link to the post, and here is the post in itself, the text. So based on this, we're going to add another column. So as you may see, some of them are posting, some of them haven't posted more than 6 months maybe. Perhaps we should add another steps of filtering out the posts that have exceeded 1 month. But just to make the video shorter, let's proceed with this. Now we want to add another column. We already have a perfect recipe to create a great contest. We know that they are offering a job or researching for a developer, and at the same time, we have something related to a recent post they posted. Now, we are going to ask the AI to create something in regard to that and link that something to our company. So it will be context of the job, and meanwhile, our company offered this. You go use AI, configure. Now, we don't need the web research. We will need create or modify content. As usual, we're going to go for ChatGPT 4.0 and then use also Claude AI from Anthropic. I will definitely say that Claude AI in terms of texts and paragraphs and writing in general is much more advanced than GPT. Let's go with the GPT-5 Nano, much better than the previous one. In my opinion, still not comparable to Anthropic, but it does the job fantastically well. So here's the contest. Again, I'll scroll slowly just for you guys in order to take a screenshot and just OCR this and replicate it exactly in your workflow. We have the first part of the prompt, all about starting the message naturally. We look into the CEO most recent LinkedIn post, and we find something we genuinely like or find interesting. You are generating a personalized outreach message for a CEO whose company recently posted a job looking for software developers. Well, this is the first contest. The goal is to introduce our software development company as a helpful partner to support their team in meeting this hiring need, using 2 main sources of context. So this open developer role and the CEO most recent LinkedIn post. So this one. Reference something specific from their post to make the message feel personal, friendly, and human. So again, in this part, we give more guidance and it's a matter of preference. So you guys may change a little bit. You may come up with your own way of writing because basically you are prompting the AI to do what you guys think is the best approach. For us, this works quite well. So part 1 will be a friendly opening. Make sure it doesn't exceed 20 words. We don't want the AI to be ramping on and speaking about whatever comes to his mind, if he has a mind. The part 2 will be introduce why we are reaching out. And the third one is a transition to a closing statement. Do not use full names. Obviously, it's better to call someone directly by his first name rather than by the full name, which sounds very weird. Do not include signature or placeholder text. Bring the line between distinct ideas for readability. So rather than having a very condensed paragraph, we want the email to look natural, easy to read. I usually add another prompt here into the system, and it's just basically a way of writing. So I will advise you to go on do your own research about what are the best type of writing, what words to avoid, what phrasing is better to convey certain ideas. I usually don't like the AI to be very professional, which sounds very weird. No one talks like that. So for instance, here the prompt, never use corporate jargon, never use profanity, never use words that are only found on the dictionary. All of the things that make the conversation awkward and just the feeling that it's AI generated and poorly generated. Again, we want the output formats also here to be fields and texts. We also add the CEO name as a colon. So here are the results. Let's go and try here. We add the response as a colon. We'll find it here. And here is exactly the message. Hi, Alex. Your post about agencies keeping teams on a leash, really. I'm reaching out because I see you are hiring developers right now. Our software development team can support you as you grow your engineering capacity, helping you move faster without waiting on hiring cycles. We provide expert software development support, helping companies deliver projects faster and scale their engineering effort. Would you be up for a quick 10-minute call to discuss how we could support your development team? Great. So now that we have the most important step ready, which is the personalization of the email, we are going to go research the email for each one of these CEO. We already have their LinkedIn, which will be used later to LinkedIn outreach. We want now their email and the phone number. It will bring us to the waterfall sequence, meaning Clay use all these data provider in order to bring your desired result. You can change their order as well as deactivate those perhaps that you may find expensive. One thing to take into consideration is that the credit consumption isn't ongoing, meaning if the first row doesn't bring information, no credit is consumed, and then it goes to the second column. If it brings it, you see here 2 credit are going to be consumed for the information. If not, it goes to the third data provider, etc. So yes, this is good, but at the same time, using these data platforms through Clay is much more expensive than using them directly. So I prefer to have my own subscription at Elite Magic or Find Email better than use them on Clay. And just a quick note here, each credit on Clay is the equivalent of 0.4 cents. So enriching a list of thousands of people may cost you too much money. This is why it's preferable to use as maximum third parties and tricks to finalize your list at the minimum cost possible. But for the sake of this video, we're going to use the waterfall. Now we come to the input part. Usually, these data providers ask you to give full name, company domain, or URL and social media URL. So always prioritize company domain and social profile URL in order to not waste credit on things that may be less accurate. Now this part is for the validation provider. I usually go for find the email is a quite good one. What it does, in fact, after finding all of the email, some people who may have been using that email for the last month have changed and that email doesn't work any longer. So validating the email is a very important step to make sure that your whole cold email setting just doesn't get flagged as spam. Now, after running, this is the waterfall we find. So let me walk you through this. It hasn't been found on the first, neither the second, and then it went to the third provider and found it. So you can clearly see that the whole process is a very, very strong process. Eventually, by the time you reach the final data provider, most of the email, in my case, 95% of the email, I'm able to find them. Now let's go add another enrichment, which is phone numbers. And it's a similar thing. Another waterfall where you are asked to provide the company name, the URL profile of the person you are trying to get the number. So what have we accomplished so far? I mean, in just 1 hour, we have gathered a full list of people who are actively actively looking for the services we provide. Then we reached out to them using a clear step-by-step approach. First, we brought their information. Next, we followed up with a cold email. Then we followed up through a LinkedIn outreach. And fourth, we just wait a day or two and then we follow with a phone call. And the final result, if the team that handles the meeting is well-versed, then many of these unknown people becomes client. I mean, how good is this? Our cold email system is in general very reliable. We use a very sophisticated technique in order to convey some messages. And let me just show you a little bit of. So here is, for instance, some of the results we get. 7.6%, 1.5%, 4.4%, 13.6%, which is quite good. I mean, guys, we're literally talking about thousands of emails being sent. But I would lay down from my expertise which one is better, cold email or the LinkedIn outreach. I think that LinkedIn still has the edge, but it will not surpass mixing the three vectors. Much better to use all them three than just the cold email, because many people are just spammed daily with a cold email. How to differentiate yourself is by doing the three steps all together. Plus, la cerise sur le gâteau, like we say in French, is to have a proper team that can be at the forefront of explanation and dealing with the clients. In the next video, I'll walk you through how we've been able to scrape event-related information and how we can build on such data to create even stronger opportunities. See ya.